Hello, I'm John Nabors. I'm the founder and CEO of FirstClass Aligners. And what you'll be learning today on our podcast here with Dean is really the future of clear aligners in the orthodontic profession. So I look forward to the interview and the excitement around the outcome of this communication here today. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on this podcast here with you, Dean, today.
Orthomarketing.com, 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. It's Dean Steinman from Ortho Marketing. And guess what? We are back with another podcast for you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's February 2025. Super Bowl is actually right around the corner. And as a Jet fan, I don't really care. But if anybody out there is a Chiefs and Eagles fan, good luck this weekend. But we're going to jump right into talking today about clear aligners and the importance of it for your practice. And I'm really stoked to have with me a great guy I've been friendly with for a while here. And I have John Nabors, who's the founder of an aligner company called FirstClass Aligners. And we're going to talk a little bit about the aligner industry and what it's all about and why you need it. So jump right in. So John, how are you today?
Hey, great, Dean. Excited to be part of this podcast here, and thanks for your interest in talking to me here today. I look forward to the interview and also the Super Bowl weekend coming up. So before we get to that, let's work on this exchange of information. I'm very excited to work with you here today.
You got it. No worries. So, John, you started a aligner company, and aligners are very popular now in this industry. It's funny, when I was at the last AAO meeting, the two biggest, industries or businesses I saw represented at the industry at the AAO was marketing companies and aligners. So there's a bunch of us out there now. So tell me a little bit about FirstClass Aligners and why you started it and a little bit about you.
Yeah, great, Dean. So my journey here in the ortho business expands quite some time. And I really enjoy this industry. I've been able to contribute over $500 million in global sales throughout my career. So that is specific to orthodontics globally. So through my experience firsthand, I've transformatively seen the power of clear aligners, just not for patients, but practices as well. So that's been very inspiring. The FirstClass Aligners was born out of the desire to really bridge the gap between affordability and the quality in the aligner market. So I learned firsthand here, as the entire industry did, direct-to-consumer companies made aligners more accessible, but they lacked the clinical oversight necessary for really predictable, safe outcomes. So conversely, traditional aligner systems came with a high cost and limited accessibility for patients and practices alike. So FirstClass, I sought to combine both worlds, really the affordability and the high quality aligner solution with precision, really working with doctor design treatment plans. This has been really a big change for us, or a game changer in the industry, is having experienced orthodontists design these cases. So really reducing significantly our refinements based upon doctors that are experienced versus lab technicians. So my experience has taught me that practices need a partner that not only provide excellent products, but also align with their goals for growth and patient care. So that's the philosophy is at heart of everything that we do. So that really inspired me to figure out a way to do this and address a market that's really very significant. And we learned a lot about that from direct to consumer, which was really quite a surprise to the entire profession. So, definitely inspired to add this value to the industry and really get more patients in treatment.
Yeah, it's something that is definitely needed. This is going back to the days that you and I could remember the Ma Bell days, and they needed to break up the monopoly. And I'm very listen, and Invisalign is a great company, a great product, but the fact that it's fair market industry now, and let people like you and other great players come in and be able to make a difference. So I'm really excited for you, and you're right on when it comes to finding this industry in the niche and understanding the value of it there. So let's dive in a little bit further. Let's talk about clear aligners and why it's important for a practice to embrace using aligners versus traditional. How did you think a practice who's been around for a long time, how do you help them adapt to something new like this?
Yeah, really clear aligners are not just a treatment option. They they are a practice growth strategy. So by offering aligners, practices can attract new patients. The millennials, the Gen Z, the parents seeking aesthetic solutions. Aligners cater to a demand, drawing patients who might not have considered traditional, braces. So
Right.
retaining existing patients is also an opportunity. Retreatment cases, such as adults who have had braces in their youth, are representing the growth segment of our aligner patients. So offering aligners keeps these patients within the practice. It expands the service. Practices can diversify their offerings, catering to mild to moderate as well as complex cases. So, which broadens their patient base. Increased revenue. Aligners represent a reoccurring revenue stream with follow up and driving long term patient engagement. So, by integrating aligners into their services, practices position themselves as a full spectrum provider, ready really to meet the evolving needs of the patients.
What should what name three things that a practice should look for in their aligner partner?
Well, I think the three things that they can be looking for is really looking for the companies who can really meet their demands. And what I mean by that is what sets us apart here at First Class Aligners is the aligner space is undoubtedly very competitive. And First Class Aligners differentiates itself through commitment to quality, affordability, and clinical precision. So what we do here at First Class is we have doctors design our treatment plans. Unlike, some of our competitors, or maybe most of them, they rely on lab technicians to design their cases. And our cases are designed by experienced orthodontists. So this ensures better treatment predictability and reduces refinements. In fact, this is a significant concern in the industry, and I think an opportunity to find ways to reduce these refinements. And I think we've got our hands on this here. We figured this out by having doctors, experienced orthodontists, design the cases as opposed to a lab technician that knows probably software but not tooth movement. So our average refinement rate is around 10% or a little bit below. And I think most of the competitors are closer to 50%. So
Wow.
that's a huge differentiator. And I think not only, using the proper AI and the information that we have, but having doctors put these plans together, specifically orthodontists for the practices, the doctors themselves to review, gives a lot more encouragement with the case in the predictability. So the other thing I think practices are looking for is affordable pricing. We offer high quality aligners at a price point that empowers the practices to remain competitive while still achieving some very strong margins. So I think practices that are focused on growth. First Class is not just a product provider; we're a partner in growth. Our solutions are designed to help practices attract and attain patients
Right.
while streamlining their workflows. And so we've got a commitment to innovation. We stay ahead of the trends, leveraging the advancements of 3D, software integration, and treatment planning to deliver these exceptional results. So, in an industry where it's poised for massive growth, and we can talk about that, we aim to be a trusted partner for the practices looking to succeed in the future of orthodontics.
This podcast is sponsored by orthomarketing.com. Hey, you an orthodontist or dentist looking to give your practice the competitive edge it deserves? Well, look no further than Ortho Marketing. Ortho Marketing is the dentist and orthodontist choice for digital marketing. At Ortho Marketing, we specialize in helping orthodontists and dentists just like you attract more new patients. Our team of experts knows the ins and outs of the dental and orthodontic industry, and we're here to help your practice shine. We're going to supercharge your online presence. We're going to optimize your website. We're going to harness the power of social media to connect you with the patients that you want. Say goodbye to empty chairs and say hello to a thriving practice. Choose Ortho Marketing today and watch your patient list grow. Visit orthomarketing.com and learn more and take the first steps towards your practice success. Ortho Marketing. It's not just our name, it's what we do. Well said. So what does a practice need in order to adapt to offering aligners to their patients? What's the barrier for them? Because somebody that isn't using aligners now with dental practice, and now they want to start offering aligners, or a practice or an orthodontic practice is doing traditional. Now they want to offer aligners. What's needed for them to start offering this? Do they need to buy a scanner? Do they need to have certain training? So walk us through the onboarding, if you will, and what they need in order to start.
Yeah, Dean, the advent of intraoral scanning has made a world of difference in dentistry, and the complements that it's provided to aligner treatment is really significant because we really do get a 1-to-1 ratio where we have very little or no deviation, and where you have, traditional impressions, those satisfy the needs. And that was the tools that we had to work with. With intraoral scanning is really a huge shift here in really making this aligner treatment much more successful and a big advantage to the practice. I think, practices are growing in accepting the intraoral scanners. They become more affordable, but they're really the tools here that are going to excel a practice, whether it be aligners or restorations. The digital technology surpasses. It is really the future, and I think this is really a huge advantage. So, clear aligners is not just a treatment option; they're a practice growth strategy. And by offering aligners, practices can attract, as we talked about a little earlier, the millennials, the Gen Zs. It's really increasing the aesthetic solution. So aligners caters to this demand, drawing in patients that might not have considered traditional braces. So, it gives us a chance to retain those patients and expand our services and really increase the revenue that practices have capability. When we saw what was going on with direct consumers, we knew that patients that are out there, it was a population that we didn't know existed. There was millions of patients that went through this direct consumer, but what they did is they went through a putty impression and they weren't assisted by a trained doctor to assist those cases. So they're no longer around today, but what is around today is the knowledge, and we certainly need to take advantage of that knowledge. And what that did was help the industry understand that there is a price point that patients are willing to pay to get treatment. And what we focus on is mild to moderate treatment. And in fact, we just received our trademark that we are the mild to moderate treatment tune-up specialist. Wow. And I think that's very important because many people have gone through treatment and they didn't continue to wear their retainers. And of course, their teeth shift. Right. So how many people out there, when these individuals are in the practice, can be part of a conversation that are probably not engaged with now. They bring in their children, but they're not necessarily asked, do you have anything that you would like to get fixed or cleaned up in your smile? And these are the people that chose to go direct to consumer because they weren't being asked and there wasn't a solution. I think when you can lower those lab fees and we can lower those case fees, you lower the lab fees, you're going to attract a lot more patients and be able to provide them with very adequate treatment at a much more affordable price.
What does a practice need to learn in order to implement aligners into their practice? Was there a learning curve involved? That they didn't learn any sort of technology, learn how to sell it differently, how to implement it? What are a couple of things that need to really learn in order to really embrace this?
Right. So, aligners is a very strong market, and many of the practices offer aligners. It's almost they can't really refuse to. It's really how do they now accelerate aligner treatment in their practice? It's very, very profitable. The demand is there. So really the practices have to become more comfortable in identifying the opportunity and then having the correct solutions. So that's really the key here is communicating the value of these aligners, understanding the patient priorities. And then many patients seek clear aligners for their discretion, comfort, and conveniences, but they also need reassurances that there is safety, efficacy, and affordability. So really educate the staff early, train them, address their questions about the patient's interests and aligner treatment, especially for these mild to moderate, even up to these complex cases or retreatment. So these conversions often uncover opportunities to provide care for patients that didn't know that it was available. So I think, understanding that from the practice perspective is very important. I know that, treatment coordinators, they're focused on getting the patient case moving forward in the practice, but there's typically a family that's associated to that individual that can be talked to. So, how many people have had treatment that stopped wearing their retainers?
Everybody.
Everybody. I'd say, probably a strong 95% within, first few months never wear their retainers again. And guess what? They begin to look at their teeth. I think that became evident during COVID where, people were on social media, they were on these different sites, and, that really had an impact on direct consumer. And I think those patients still exist. Those practices that understand that value and communicate with these opportunities and have solutions like FirstClass Aligners can really have a strong impact on their practice.
No doubt. Re-engagement is a huge part of what we do here at Ortho Marketing, and many of the clients we work with, we have a whole campaign just to get people back in who did have, orthodontic treatment 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. 99% of them didn't wear the retainers, so the teeth shifted. So it's a great way, guys, to really bring in a lot of revenue to the practice, to stand out and to, make a difference. Your bottom line, plain and simple. John, 2 more questions for you. Give me 3 myths about aligners that you want to debunk that's out there that you just hear that all the time. And you're like, that's not true. That's not true. So tell me 3 things that people in the industry are hearing that's a myth.
Well, I think with today's technology is really advanced. I think that, aligners can do a lot more in treatment than they could, say, 5 years ago. We didn't have attachments on the teeth, and we probably weren't doing the amount of IPR that's going to be required with aligners. So, understanding what it takes to be successful with aligners from a practice standpoint is very important. And, with the advent of these attachments has really significantly improved the outcome of the aligner treatment and the success and, keeping patients motivated and keeping them compliant I think this has really been a very significant move. So I know that, it's not a myth. Aligners are expensive. And I think practices pay very high case lab fees, and then they pass that along to the patient. So, that's a reality. And I think this is something that, there are opportunities now where we can get practices involved and offer a lower lab fee and thus a lower case fee to the patient to attract them to the practice and move them into treatment. So, those are probably the two things that I see to be, really important today. And that is how technology is driving the business and the fact that the results clinically are significantly improved than, say, they were 5 years ago.
Good. One more question I have for you. So, John, I'm giving you the ability to put up a billboard right in the middle of Times Square. Okay, what's it going to say?
Well, what you're going to see in the billboard is you're going to see, FirstClass Aligners, and it's going to be providing the clinical and high quality treatment value at a very affordable price. So this is really a mind shift with the cost of lab fees. And today, big companies are very challenged by being able to offer a lower lab fee than it is for companies like FirstClass Aligners. And if the practices themselves get a break in the lab fee, they can give the break in the case fee to the patient. So, we don't set the pricing for the practices, but we do recommend, a much lower case fee to these patients. And we justify that by showing them a much lower lab fee. So very good margins there. And of course, this is really what we're talking about here. And I think the opportunity for these practices to take advantage. One of the things that just was presented here last year that became, knowledge to the industry is the clear aligner market is one of the fastest growing segments in healthcare. The project is projected to expand from what is today a $5 billion market to expand to $47 billion by 2032. So we're talking about a 27%, annual compounded growth, and practices have this opportunity. And where FirstClass Aligners fits in is helping grow expand those patients within the practice and thus be part of this growth here. And I think this is a very important segment where we're going to see this growth come from.
I agree. This guys, if you're not adapting, okay, and you're not offering aligners in your practice, be it from an orthodontic or dental perspective, you're missing out. Plain and simple. People need it. They want it, and if you don't offer it, somebody else will. So make sure you do that. So John, in closing, if somebody wants to learn more about FirstClass, to learn more about you, do a demo, get pricing, et cetera, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dean, for asking. They can email me directly at John, JOHN, at firstclassaligners.com. They can also visit our website, www.firstclassaligners.com. On the landing page is a calculator that I created. Practices can enter in the number of cases they're currently doing annually, and then they can enter in their lab fees that they pay on an average, and they can quickly equate how much money they'll save on their bottom line with FirstClass Aligners. The other email that you can use is you can email support at FirstClass Aligners, and we will respond to you right away. Very happy to set up a demo, set up a calendar with you where we can spend a few minutes to walk through the product. Very much looking forward to any interest here and look forward to receiving those contacts, and we'll respond to you right away. So, Dean, this has been a super day here for me. really exciting. I was very impressed when we were able to connect here and create this webinar here today, and really excited about the future growth of aligners. And I know practices have a tremendous opportunity here with some, looking at this with an open mind and realizing what opportunities exist to them. We look forward to hearing from you here at FirstClass Aligners.
Great. Thanks, John. Really appreciate that. And thanks for joining. Everybody out there, again, please, take a look at opportunities, look at what's available to you, look, past your front of your face and look at options. And, John's a great guy, reach out to him, see how they could potentially help you practice. And, everybody make some more money and smiles. So, John, thanks so much for joining everybody in podcast land. Once again, thank you so much for being a loyal listener and watcher of our podcast. Thanks so much for all of the insight and response and emails that we get. And I just want to thank everybody for the support. So everybody in podcast land, thanks so much for listening. John, thanks so much for joining. And everybody out there, be smart. Enjoy your Super Bowl. Hopefully your boxes come in. And everybody, thanks so much. Enjoy.
orthomarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.